Hello, everyone. Jerry Tabatt with you. Another edition of our military community. And boy, oh boy, do we have a good one for you today. It's all about our veterans and putting them in the workforce. Maybe they're in there now and maybe they're going to be there in the future. But there's so many different things going on with veterans, and they're loved in this community, and we'll get it all sorted out. Joining me this morning is Miss Becky Samarripa from the Career Source Gulf Coast, and she is the communications manager. Becky, thanks for coming in today. We got a lot to talk about, but first of all, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then let's talk about what is Career Source Gulf Coast and what's its mission.
Sure. Thank you, first of all, for inviting us here today. This is an important message we hope to get out, and we really appreciate you partnering with us for that. But yes, I'm Becky Samarripa. I am the communications manager at Career Source Gulf Coast. I also happen to also work with veterans and military spouses. I case manage some of them as well. So I'm coming from.
We're going to talk about that.
I have a good perspective of how this works. But Career Source Gulf Coast is one of the 21 local workforce development boards across the state of Florida. Every state has a local workforce development board in every region. Here in Florida, we're called Career Source. It's under the Career Source Florida network. We're one of 21 regions, and we cover the Bay, Gulf, and Franklin County area. And we're probably best known for our job center. We have our main job center here in Panama City. We have satellite offices in Gulf County and Apalachicola. And we also have offices at some training institutions here at Gulf Coast State College and at Haney. So you'll see us all over the community. But our job center is what people most know us for, and that is where we work directly with job seekers and employers to connect the two of them. We want job seekers to have, the job readiness skills, the employability, the job placement skills. We refer them directly to employers, and we make sure that employers have the skilled talent that they need.
And we're going to talk about all those different skills because they are so important, and a lot of people don't realize that as veterans, we have some of these skills and we don't even know it. But first of all, Becky, we are told that veterans are so important to this community when it comes to employment. Why is that true?
Well, there's so many of them here. They're a very important, impactful audience. And they happen to have a lot of the technical skills needed and the soft skills that employers need. Our country has close to about 9 million veterans that are in the workforce right now. The state of Florida has 1.5 million veterans here. And here in Bay County, I think we have over 200,000 veterans. Yeah. So we're a veteran-focused state and region, and we have we have Tyndall Air Force Base and Naval Sport Activity Panama City. We've got all these military installations across the state. So this is really a priority for the state to serve veterans and see that they're thriving here in Florida. And one of those things is making sure that they have employment and can contribute to our country.
There's a lot of different characteristics that we have as veterans that when we try to get into the civilian workforce, we don't even know that we can use them. For example, we have leadership skills already. We have communication skills. We have education skills. We have this ability to work with others. Expand on that just a little bit, if you would.
Yes. The military really prepares veterans for, not only their military mission, but life outside of the military as well. And they have these attributes that any employer would want. And we see employers all the time in our job center that are begging for employees that have good work ethic, that show up on time, do what they're told to do, that contribute, that want to be there. Veterans have already come fully filled with all of these attributes. So of course, those are things that are requested frequently. Veterans have them. We talk about they're adaptable. They've got that leadership. They're creative. They can really think on their feet. They can deal with stress well. They're going to be punctual. They're going to be on time. They're going to meet their deadlines. These are all desirable traits that they can bring. They also have technical skills that are very important.
That's a lot of people think, well, I was a aircraft controller. That's not any good. That's not true. That's not true.
Absolutely, absolutely. Every military specialty has valuable skills that are used in the civilian workforce. So it's important, of course, that veterans understand that, and it's important for employers to understand that those military specialties have a lot of value to them. Again, they get very specialized training. Some of them get degrees. Some of them get certifications, industry-recognized certifications. All of these things are valuable to employers.
And that's one of the things, too, these educational benefits, even if you're overseas. I mean, when we're in the States, we can take these different classes and stuff, but overseas, too. I know when I was over in Japan for 4 years, I got an associate's degree in meteorology through the University of Maryland.
Yeah.
So, all of those things help. And speaking of that, just to show you how adaptable these military skills are, I was an Air Force meteorologist for 20-plus years. I retired in August. And the following January, I was hired down at Channel 13 as a meteorologist on air. And that lasted almost 30 years. So you never know the transition from your military job into that civilian force.
Absolutely. That's absolutely true.
And does that give you extra bargaining power? I'm putting you on the spot now, Becky.
Yes, well, yes, we definitely see that value, but we know there still are some veterans that transition isn't as easy for them, and that's also why we're here.
Right, and that's exactly leading into my next question that I have for you. See how easy this is? You talked about the family employment team and what you do. Let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. Give me the good and bad things about it.
Okay. First of all, when somebody comes to our job center or calls us, we're going to welcome them. We have friendly staff, but the next thing they're going to say is, have you or your spouse ever served in the U.S. military? So right away, we try to identify those who are veterans, those who are transitioning active duty service members, those who are active duty military spouses and military spouses of veterans. From that, they actually get priority of service. They are immediately taken to either our what we call our DVOP. They are our disability veteran outreach program representative, and they work with people who have want more intense career. That need more intense career support, but they also may have certain factors, they call them QEBs, qualifying employment barriers. So it may be somebody young between the ages of maybe 18 and 24, so youth coming out of service. It may be somebody who's just come out of transition in the last 3 years. It may be somebody with a service-connected disability. There's a whole checklist of people who are authorized to have these special services from this DVOP. Now, even if they don't, our team is fully equipped to help every veteran, every transitioning service member, and every military spouse. So we are focused on them. And you said, what are the good and the bad? I don't think there is a bad.
Right.
They're going to get that priority of service attention. When we say priority of service, they are immediately taken in and assisted. But it's also they may be eligible for we call it WIOA funding. It's federally funded training dollars, and also Wagner-Pfizer services. These are federal funded programs that support our service, and veterans get priority there. And so they're seen first, and if we have limited resources to provide programs, they may be given that program over someone who's non-covered. So it's important for us to make sure that they're given those benefits that are deserved. But yes, we do also have a military family employment advocacy program. This is a state program through the state of Florida. There are, I believe there's 8 different regions in the state that really focus on that have heavy military communities. And then they have an advocate to work with the military families. These can be spouses or dependent children or other dependents. So again, spouse employment is very important. Some of them, for somebody to work successfully in their military profession, they want to have a stable home life, and often, they may have children, and a spouse that may need to be employed to support their family. Spouses have a very high rate of unemployment, one of the highest. It's over 20% unemployment rate for military spouses. So our goal is to really work with those spouses to try to find the right opportunities for them here locally, and also help them build careers that are portable, that they can bring to their next duty station. Because you know, everybody's going to need somebody in healthcare. Everybody's going to need maybe HR professionals wherever they go. We want them to be fully equipped to be able to support themselves and also build their own career wherever they may be to support their family.
And one of the things about you're saying, Becky, have them come in and talk to you, that is also important for these spouses, because a spouse of a military person has built up some unique characteristics that someone in civilian life may not have. They know how to deal with moving every couple of years, 3-4 years. They know what it's like to go to a foreign country and back. They know what it's like to deal with childcare. So does that kind of help that military spouse transitioning also into civilian life with her husband? Does that also help them with employment possibilities?
It surely can. However, not all employers recognize that. And so that is also our job. We advocate for military spouses and veterans to tell them why they would be silly not to have a military spouse on their staff, and we tell them exactly why. But, there's a need by military spouses for flexible employment. A lot of them want remote or hybrid type work. They have to be able to make it work for their family too. So they may have some special needs, and if employers can meet those needs, they may have an employee that not only stays there while they're stationed here, but perhaps it can be a remote type job that spouse can take with them. So you never know. But yes, we are definitely here to advocate for them with employers, to tell them why you want to have a military spouse or a veteran or somebody transitioning into the civilian world on staff.
Now, with the change, the way business is being conducted now, it all started with COVID and that, a lot of people working from home. Would this be an advantage for a military spouse to actually find one of those jobs where she can work from home and be in a comfortable situation?
Absolutely. And we really saw a lot of growth in remote type of work since COVID. And that just happens to also work very well for military families. So, yes, we see a lot of that. Even our own employment system is called Employee Florida. It's the state's official job connection database where we connect job seekers and employers. They have a whole new section on remote and hybrid work, so they can do searches by that. So yes, that is a highly requested type of job that spouses are interested in.
So that is all they need to come and talk to you, because you guys are the experts over there. I've known Kim Bodine for many, many years, and Kim's such a sweetheart when it comes to that. And the thing about it is you all realize how important our veterans and their spouses are, so all they got to do is talk to you. But one thing I wanted to ask you about, there's a lot of veterans, not a lot, but we still have Iraq veterans, Gulf War veterans, and that. Does the VA actually help and work with you on finding prospective employment for these veterans with that unique problem?
Absolutely. We partner with so many different organizations. The VA is one of them. They often they refer people to us. Tyndall Air Force Base, Military and Family Readiness Center, Naval Support Activity, their Fleet and Family Readiness Center. We partner together to help their transitioning service members and military families in employment. So we all work hand in hand with that same goal. Yes.
And it works out very well.
Yes.
So a lot of different characteristics that we as veterans have that we don't really realize, so we need to talk to you about that. Our spouses, they're also can work very closely with you. But what are some specific areas in Bay County or the surrounding panhandle here where the potential for employment by veterans is present now and it's going to grow as companies come in?
Right. Really, any military occupation, you're going to find its equivalent in the civilian world. So right now we have one of our biggest industries really is leisure and hospitality, and there's many careers within there that work very well for veterans and military families. But the other one is health care and social services. That's a top industry in this area. That is, we find a lot of veterans and military spouses with skills to contribute here locally. Our economic development organizations, they're working hard to kind of diversify some of the industries that are here. So manufacturing is another top industry you're going to see here. They're trying to build more of the aeronautic industry here as well, and across the Panhandle. So we're seeing a lot of very promising things coming up, but also, pretty much every industry. Federal government, of course, is a big one. They can work here doing similar work they did on base as a civilian employee, federal employee. They can work with government contractors. We have a lot of government contractors here as well. Those are a very nice segue into civilian world, those two right there. And those are big industries for us here too. But of course, like I said, don't forget about manufacturing, warehouse, logistics, manufacturing, construction, we have a need for welders. All of these are careers and industries that are strong here.
Now, and that brings up an interesting point too. If a veteran comes in and talks to you, or a spouse comes in and talks to you, and they're interested in going into a specific area, but you realize they don't have all the information or all the qualifications they need, do you work with Haney, which is great, to help these veterans and their spouses get the training they need?
We certainly do. We partner with both Gulf Coast State College and Haney Technical College. We have training centers at both locations. So there's some high demand occupations that we can assist anybody with that meets certain qualifications, and many veterans and military spouses may meet the eligibility requirements for those. And we've also been given some money. There was a Get There Faster grant that gives us extra money to help veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses train in high demand occupations. Also, the state is really pushing apprenticeships. They're really trying to grow that. They know that's a very strong model. You don't necessarily have to have a college degree to do every job, but you can get the on-the-job training, plus get some of the certifications and degrees that may go with it, and get paid too to do it. So that is a big initiative across the state right now too. So employers are starting to look into that more as well.
Now we know pretty much about Haney, where the strictly like electrical and air conditioning, aircraft work, the cosmetology, and things like that. But what do you actually work with the veterans here at Gulf Coast State College? What do you do here at the college?
Well, so the college is one of our eligible training providers. And again, we have a list that, the state helps us prepare on those high demand occupations in this area that we are permitted to assist with. And again, high demand occupation means they're going to have an easier time finding a job right here locally. A lot of these are in healthcare. So we sponsor a lot of RNs in the associate degree program and the RN AD to BS program and the LPN program over in Gulf Franklin County. There's like sonography, radiography, dental assistant, dental hygienist. A lot of them are in that. And computer science, CSIT, that's a big one. And then of course Haney, we've got some of the trades, the aircraft, airframe mechanics. We're really starting to focus in on that sector in this region. And there's a big demand for welders. That's another one. HVAC, electricians. Again, they have an LPN program there as
and
well.
That's our health field. And let's face it, as America gets older, we're not having as many children, and our population is aging. So that's actually going to grow, which is good news for somebody that can qualify and get into a job like that.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And just when you talk about an aging population. I mean, that there is this demographic shift that is happening right now. A lot of boomers are starting to leave the workforce, and somebody needs to fill that void. Veterans are the perfect people. Military families are the perfect people, and we want to make sure they're trained and ready to go in those positions. The military, again, does a great job with training. Somebody like CareerSource Gulf Coast, the local workforce development board, can also support their training, and institutions, Gulf Coast State College, Haney Technical Center, and surrounding colleges, FSU, all support our veterans in furthering their education and thriving here in Bay County.
So there's all kinds of different areas in there that you work with, and we talked about the characteristics, their training, and everything. Let's say you talk with a veteran, their spouse, and you find that they have certain qualifications that will fit with certain jobs in this community. What are some incentives that these employers are offering now to attract that qualified veteran or their spouse?
I think we see veterans, they really like to continue to learn. So any type of continuing education is really important for them to know that that employer is going to continue their growth and sort of a career path is very important to veterans. So to ensure them of that, it's important to highlight that. And again, we encourage employers to take part in training programs. SkillBridge, that's a DoD, Department of Defense program that trains transitioning service members, and many of them are hired. So we do have some participating employers here in this region. And again, I mentioned the apprenticeships as well. Just to know that they're there, also to know that they support veterans, they support veteran families. That, and there is something called the Hire Vets Medallion Award. It's through the Department of Labor. It's one of the only awards out there, one of the highest awards where employers can be recognized for the work they do supporting, hiring, and retaining veterans. So it's important that they let everybody know they support them, and that they truly do, and that they meet the needs of the veterans and their families.
I know it's tough to say because it all depends on the economy and that, but a veteran puts in his application. What's the general turnaround time on that? Is it 1 month, 6 months?
It really varies wildly. Let's say they want to be a federal employee or a contractor. That may take more time. Sure. There's a lot of steps in approving that process, and then they may have to do background checks, and you may have to get a security clearance if you don't already have one.
Right. So veterans have an advantage of because most of us have a security clearance.
Absolutely. We see that all the time. There's job opportunities out there, and that is one of the requirements, and often we can get veterans right into some of those positions. So that's a really important thing. But yes, it really varies. Others are very eager to get veterans onboarded and to work, and they know that they're going to be productive and contributing day one.
Yeah. Now, one other thing we talked about a little earlier before the interview here, and I want to make sure we get it in. There's 3 different areas here. Tell me about your vet teams.
Right. So part of our staff is made up of state of Florida employees. We have a state veteran a state Jobs for Veterans grant is what it's called through the state. And this funds special positions. One of them is the DVOP, which I mentioned before, Disabled Veteran Outreach Program Representative. They're the ones that work with veterans who might have special circumstances or needs, need more intense help connecting with a meaningful career. Lever is the other one, Local Veteran Employment Representative. We have 1.5 of those. We have one consolidated position. They do DVOP and Lever, but they're the ones who advocate for our veterans. They go out, meet employers, tell them why, veterans are good hires, and then we actually connect them to veterans. As we're working with veterans, we try to bring them resumes. We do something called job development. Even if a job is not listed, we go to an employer and say, this is the perfect employee for you, and we try to create a career almost for them. So that is a very important role for our staff as well.
And bringing these things out today, Becky, a lot of people don't even know that the CareerSource Gulf Coast knows these things. One other thing you have that I want to talk a little bit about, there's a survey, a military lifestyle survey, and there's some surprising facts on that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, Yeah, we were just looking at this before we started up, but military families are what they say, they're key to recruitment and retention. It's, supporting our veterans. It's really about the readiness of our military. If we have a strong home life, if we know that service members can have a good career and know that they will exit their career with another good career waiting for them, and that their families are supported, they're more likely to stay in, and they're more likely to refer somebody. But
Sure.
one of the biggest top issues for active duty family members is military spouse employment. 49% of them, it's a concern for them. And then 38% the amount of time away from family as a result of the military service. Military pay, off-base housing concerns, dependent and children education. All of those are concerns of theirs. But right there at the top, and it's really not surprising to me, having worked in this, is the military spouse employment.
Yeah, and that's where you guys are doing a great job helping people with their...
Yes.
And the state of Florida is also heavily involved in our veterans.
Absolutely.
And there's one project called Hope Florida, and our First Lady, Casey DeSantis, is in charge of that. Tell us about that.
Well, this is one of Casey DeSantis' initiatives where she brings together government, religious institutions, other civic organizations, all together to help somebody that needs immediate assistance and meaningful employment. It just meant to help them be able to support themselves and their families. And we know that there can be a lot of immediate needs. They may need food. They may be on the brink of being homeless. So all of these organizations, and it works best this way, we all work hand in hand. There's navigators for each one. We have a career source navigator. We work with a navigator that focuses on this group. So they're making referrals to us to help. But one of the groups that they really are concerned about too is veterans. They want to make sure that they have their needs met as well. So
everybody in this community is working together. We're starting to run short in time here, but I want to get one more thing in before we have to wrap this up. 4 or 5 points about a resume. What do you need?
Yeah, for veterans, it's very important, that top part of your resume, above the fold, as we call it in journalism, you want all your key information there. So a strong profile. You need to mention your service. That's important because
your DD Form 214.
You may not need that with that, but they need to be able to translate really the language of their occupation. They want to kind of avoid the jargon because not every employer understands that. So they need to be able to transfer that language into kind of civilian terms. But they should mention any medals or honors that they received, if they have any type of security clearance, and really show not just their job duties, but what type of impact they had, any achievements, and trying to make them quantifiable. And using those keywords that are in job description.
Now, can you help them with their resume?
Absolutely. Yes. We help with resume assistance. We do mock interviews. We do all of those things. Yes, absolutely.
Becky, I could sit here and talk to you for another 2 hours, but we got about a minute and a half to go. I'm going to give you 45 seconds for your final thoughts. Yeah, sure.
Well, we just really appreciate you bringing this attention to light. And, we partner with so many agencies and organizations, industry, the education institutions, all with the same goal of making lives better for veterans here in the state of Florida, here in Bay County. And I really wish our veteran team could have been here. I just wanted to give them a shout out because they have won a very important award yesterday.
They're busy.
Yes, they're at the Florida Veterans Workforce Summit in Orlando, and they did receive a special incentive award for the excellent work they've done with veterans. So I want to give a shout out to our team too.
Becky Samarripa, thank you so much for coming in today. We appreciate it. Career Source Gulf Coast. If you got any questions, just walk in the front door down there and you'll be able to talk to them.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Becky. Great information today. Unfortunately, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We run out of time again on this edition of our military community. Just remember, though, as a veteran or a veteran spouse, if you're listening or watching this program right now, you're not alone. Career Source Gulf Coast will be there to help you out. All you got to do is go talk to them, and they'll be sure to put you in touch with the right people, help you fix up that resume, and get you started on your path as you transition from military life on into civilian life. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you next week on another edition of our military community. Have a great day.